Call me David. I'm 29, originally from Kinshasa, but I've been working as a conservation officer in the Kahuzi-Biéga National Park in the Democratic Republic of Congo for the past 6 years. My job is to track and protect mountain gorillas, monitor for poachers, and maintain the trail systems through the park. I'm trained in wildlife biology, I'm certified in wilderness first aid, and I've dealt with everything from charging silverbacks to armed militia groups passing through the forest. I'm not the kind of person who gets spooked easily, but there's a place in that park I won't go anymore. A place where the rules of the forest don't apply. We call it the Grove of Echoes. It's not an official name. You won't find it on any map. But every ranger who's worked in Kahuzi-Biéga for more than a year knows about it. It's a section of old-growth forest about 15 kilometers from the main ranger station, tucked into a valley between two ridges. The trees there are ancient. Some of them must be 700 years old. The canopy is so thick that even at noon, it's dark as evening on the forest floor. The local beauty, people won't go near it. They have stories about the place going back generations. They say it's where the forest keeps its memories, and that if you listen too carefully, you'll hear things that were never meant to be heard. I thought it was superstition. I was wrong. This happened in April of last year. We'd had reports of poacher activity in the southwestern section of the park, snares being set, shots heard at night. I was assigned to do a patrol sweep through that area, document any illegal activity, and remove any traps I found. The patrol route took me straight through the grove. I'd passed through it once before, about 2 years earlier, and nothing unusual had happened. It was just forest, quiet, dark, but nothing supernatural. So I wasn't worried. I should have been. I entered the grove around 10 in the morning. The change was immediate and obvious. The temperature dropped at least 5 degrees, and the forest went from the usual chorus of birds and insects to near total silence. Not complete silence. I could still hear the wind in the canopy high above, the occasional creak of branches, but all the live sounds were gone. The trees themselves were massive, buttress roots as tall as a man, trunks so wide it would take 4 people holding hands to circle them. The bark was dark, almost black, covered in moss and lichen that glowed faintly green in the dim light. Vines hung down like curtains, and the air smelled of rot and earth and something else. Something sweet and cloying, like flowers that had been dead for too long. I marked my trail with bright orange tape as I went, standard procedure, so I could find my way back. The forest floor was spongy with centuries of leaf litter, and my footsteps made almost no sound. That's when I started to notice something strange. There was an echo. Not a normal echo, the kind you get in a canyon or a large empty room. This was different. Every sound I made, a footstep, the rustle of my jacket, the click of my compass, would repeat a few seconds later. But it didn't sound like it was bouncing off the trees. It sounded like it was coming from deeper in the forest, like something was mimicking me. At first, I thought it was just acoustics. The grove was shaped like a bowl, surrounded by ridges. Maybe sound was bouncing in unusual ways. But then the echo started coming before I made the sound. I'd hear a footstep, and then a second later, I'd take a step. I'd hear the click of my compass opening, and then I'd reach for it. The sounds were preceding my actions by just a moment, like the forest was predicting what I was about to do. I stopped walking and stood completely still, listening. The footsteps continued. Same rhythm, same weight. My footsteps, but I wasn't moving. They were getting closer. "Hello," I called out, my voice sounding small in that massive space. "Is someone there?" My words echoed back, but wrong. The voice that came back wasn't quite mine. It was close, same pitch, same accent, but there was something off about it. Flatter, emptier. "Is someone there?" the echo repeated. Then hello. It was saying my words in reverse order, and it was definitely getting closer. I pulled out my radio and tried to call the ranger station. Static. Nothing but white noise, even though I'd had a clear signal just a kilometer back. I tried my GPS. The screen was glitching, showing my position as somewhere in the middle of the ocean. That's when I heard the breathing. Heavy, labored breathing, like someone who'd been running. It was coming from all around me. Left, right, behind, above. Echoing through the grove, bouncing off those ancient trees. But I was alone. I could see in every direction. There was nothing there. The breathing got louder, more frantic, and I realized with a jolt of horror that it was syncing up with my own breathing. When I inhaled, the echo inhaled. When I exhaled, it exhaled. I held my breath. The echo kept breathing. "Okay," I said out loud, trying to keep my voice steady. "Okay, David, you're just freaking yourself out. There's a logical explanation. Acoustic phenomenon. Stress. Something. The echo agreed. Stress. Explanation. But this time, the voice came from right behind me. I spun around. Nothing. Just trees and shadows and that sickly green moss. Then I saw my orange trail markers. They were gone. All of them. Every piece of tape I'd tied to branches on my way in vanished. I frantically scanned the trees, looking for any flash of orange. Nothing. It was like they'd never been there, which meant I had no way to navigate back out. I pulled out my compass, forcing myself to stay calm. The needle spun wildly, never settling on a direction. Useless. My GPS was still showing me in the ocean. My radio still nothing but static. I was lost in a forest I'd worked in for 6 years. Lost in a place that was maybe a kilometer across. It should have been impossible. Impossible, the echo whispered. I started walking. I didn't care which direction. I just needed to move, needed to get out of this place. I walked fast, almost running, pushing through vines and undergrowth, trying to find the edge of the grove. But the trees never changed. Same massive trunks, same dark bark, same hanging vines. I should have hit the ridge wall by now, should have found the stream that ran along the eastern edge. But there was nothing, just more forest, stretching on endlessly. And the echoes were getting worse. I could hear my own voice calling out from multiple directions, saying things I'd said minutes ago, or things I hadn't said yet. I could hear my footsteps coming from behind me, beside me, above me in the canopy. I could hear breathing and the rustle of fabric and the click of my compass. All my sounds, replicated and scattered through the forest like I was surrounded by invisible copies of myself. Then I heard something new. Laughter. My laugh. I recognized it immediately, the same slightly nervous chuckle I make when I'm uncomfortable. But I wasn't laughing. I was terrified. The laughter came from ahead of me, maybe 30 meters away. Then it came from my left. Then behind me. Multiple versions of my own laugh, echoing through the grove, overlapping and building on each other until it sounded like a dozen Davids were surrounding me, all laughing at some private joke. I broke into a run. I crashed through the undergrowth, branches whipping my face, vines catching at my legs. I didn't care about stealth or procedure anymore. I just needed out. Needed to escape this place where the forest had stolen my sounds and was playing them back at me like a broken recording. I ran for what felt like hours but was probably only minutes, and suddenly, impossibly, I was back where I started. I knew because there was my backpack sitting on the ground where I'd left it when I first stopped to listen to the strange echo. But that was wrong. I'd been carrying my backpack the whole time. I could feel the weight of it on my shoulders. I slipped the pack off my back and stared at it. Then I looked at the pack on the ground. They were identical. Same brand, same wear patterns, same rip in the left shoulder strap that I'd gotten snagged on a branch 3 months ago. 2 of the same backpack. Both mine. No, I said aloud. No. This isn't real. This isn't real, the echo agreed, but it was coming from inside the backpack on the ground. I stepped back, my heart hammering so hard I thought I might pass out. The backpack on the ground began to move. Not like something was inside it, like the backpack itself was breathing, expanding and contracting in perfect rhythm with my own breathing. Then it spoke, not with my voice this time, with something older, something that sounded like wind through hollow trees, like water running over stones, like the creaking of ancient wood. The words were in a language I didn't know, but somehow I understood their meaning. You are walking in circles. You have been walking in circles. You will always walk in circles here." I looked around frantically and saw them, dozens of orange trail markers. They were all there, tied to branches in every direction, creating a maze of false trails. Hundreds of markers, far more than I'd brought with me. Some of them looked faded, like they'd been there for years. And I realized I wasn't the first person to get lost here. The grove had been collecting us, collecting our sounds, our movements, our belongings, creating echoes and copies and false trails, keeping us walking in circles until what? I didn't want to find out. I grabbed the backpack from the ground, my hand shaking so badly I could barely grip it, and I threw it as hard as I could into the forest. It landed with a wet thud, and for just a second, the echoes stopped. Complete silence. Then the grove exhaled. I felt it more than heard it. A massive rush of air that came from everywhere at once, like the forest itself was breathing out. The temperature dropped even further, and I could see my breath misting in front of my face. And in that breath, I heard voices. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. Some speaking languages I recognized. French, Swahili, Lingala. Others in languages that sounded ancient and wrong. They were all saying different things, overlapping and echoing. But I caught fragments. Been walking for days. Can't find the way. Please, someone. Help me. They were the voices of everyone who'd gotten lost in the grove. Everyone who'd walked in circles until they couldn't walk anymore. And the forest had kept their voices, kept their echoes, added them to its collection. I was going to be one of them, unless I did something the others hadn't. I stopped trying to find my way out. I sat down on the forest floor, right there in the middle of the grove, and I closed my eyes. Every instinct was screaming at me to run, to keep moving, to fight. But fighting wasn't working. The more I struggled, the more lost I became. So I stopped. I focused on my breathing, slowing it down. I listened to the echoes around me, my voice, my footsteps, my sounds bouncing through the ancient trees. And instead of being afraid of them, I accepted them. "I hear you," I said quietly. "I understand. This is your place. I'm just passing through. I mean no disrespect." The voices quieted slightly. "I'm not here to take anything," I continued, keeping my eyes closed. "I'm not here to harm anything. I just need to pass through. Please, let me pass through." The silence stretched out, broken only by the distant creak of branches and the whisper of wind through the canopy high above. Then I felt something, a sensation like a hand on my shoulder, not pushing or pulling, just resting there. The touch was cold, impossibly cold, and it sent a shiver down my entire spine. But I didn't move. I didn't open my eyes. "Walk straight," a voice whispered. Not my voice this time. Something else. Something ancient. "Do not turn. Do not look back. Do not stop until you reach the light." The hand lifted from my shoulder. I opened my eyes. The grove looked different somehow. The trees seemed less oppressive, the shadows less deep. And directly in front of me, maybe 40 meters away, I could see a faint glow, sunlight, filtering through the canopy at the edge of the grove. I stood up slowly, shouldered my backpack, the real one, I hoped, and I started walking. Straight ahead, not looking left or right, not looking back. The echoes started up again immediately. Footsteps behind me, matching my pace. Breathing all around me. My voice calling my name from the shadows between the trees. But I ignored them. I kept my eyes fixed on that distant light, and I walked. The voices returned, louder now, more insistent. "Don't leave us. You can't escape. Turn around, David. Look at us." My name, over and over, in a dozen different voices. Some sounded desperate, pleading. Others angry, demanding. But I didn't turn. I didn't stop. I felt things brushing against me as I walked. Cold touches on my arms, my back, my neck. Like dozens of invisible hands trying to hold me back, slow me down, turn me around. The air grew thick and heavy, making each breath a struggle. But the light was getting closer. 20 meters. 15. 10. Turn around. The voice was so loud, so commanding, that I almost obeyed. My body wanted to turn. My neck muscles tensed, ready to swivel my head. But I didn't. 5 meters from the edge of the grove, I heard one final sound. A woman's voice, soft and sad, speaking in Swahili. Tell them I tried to come home. Then I was through. I stumbled out into normal forest, bright, loud, full of bird calls and insect noise. The temperature was warm again. My radio crackled to life with chatter from the other rangers. My GPS blinked and showed my correct position. I fell to my knees and vomited, my whole body shaking with relief and residual terror. I radioed in, told them I'd completed the patrol, found no sign of poachers. I didn't mention the grove. What could I say that wouldn't sound insane? It took me 3 hours to hike back to the station, and I couldn't stop looking over my shoulder the entire way. When I got back, my supervisor asked why my face was scratched up and why I looked like I'd seen a ghost. Got turned around in the thick brush. I lied. Took longer than expected. He accepted that. Why wouldn't he? Getting disoriented in dense forest happens. It's not unusual. But that night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard those voices. All those people who'd gotten lost in the grove and never made it out. And I thought about that woman's voice, the last thing I'd heard. Tell them I tried to come home. The next day, I checked the records. Over the past 40 years, 17 people had gone missing in Kahuzi-Biéga National Park. Most were assumed to be victims of wildlife attacks or militia activity. But 5 of them, had last been seen heading into the area we now called the Grove of Echoes. None of them were ever found. I pulled up the file on the most recent disappearance from 2018. A researcher named Dr. Catherine Malamba. She'd been studying forest ecology, doing sample collection. She'd radioed in at 9:47 a.m. saying she was entering a grove of old-growth trees to collect bark samples. She never radioed again. The search parties looked for weeks. They found her equipment scattered over a wide area, all within a few hundred meters of each other. Her backpack, her sample bags, her machete, all in different locations, like they'd been deliberately placed. But no body, no signs of struggle, no blood, just her voice, maybe, still echoing through those trees, still trying to find her way home. I requested a transfer 2 weeks later. Told my supervisor I wanted to work in a different section of the park, help with the gorilla habituation program on the eastern slopes. He approved it without question. I still work at Kahuzi-Biéga. I still love this forest, but I will never go back to the grove. And when new rangers join the team, I pull them aside quietly and tell them the same thing the old rangers told me. There's a section of forest in the southwest quadrant between the 2 ridges. The trees are very old and very dark. If you enter it and start hearing echoes, your own voice, your own sounds coming back wrong, don't try to navigate out. Just sit down, close your eyes, ask permission to leave. And whatever you do, don't look back. Some of them listen. Some of them think I'm being superstitious, telling ghost stories to scare the rookies. But the ones who've been here long enough, they understand. The forest has rules. And the Grove of Echoes has its own rules, older and stranger than anywhere else in the park. It collects things, sounds, voices, people, and what it takes, it keeps. I was lucky. I got out. But I can still hear them sometimes, late at night when the forest is quiet, faint and far away, but there. The voices of everyone who didn't. Still calling for help, still trying to find their way home. Still walking in circles through that ancient grove, surrounded by their own echoes, forever.